Money Morning Rundown, Business First with Angela Miles.
Hello, everybody. I'm Angela Miles at the Chicago Board Options Exchange. Thank you for watching. Coming up on the show today, politics and money, Wall Street's reaction to the president's travel ban, gender gap, a surprising factor that just might be holding women back from earning as much as men, millennials and money. It was not just 50-somethings buying the hottest IPO of the year, and the man who created the $1 million cup of coffee takes on the question many investors are asking: is it too late to get in on the Trump rally? On the economic calendar for today, it's trade balance and consumer credit. On the earnings calendar, Dick's Sporting Goods, H&R Block, Michaels Companies, and Urban Outfitters. Here's a look at market action from Monday. In our trader rundown today, I'm joined by Alan Nuckman of Bullseye Option. He has his eyes on the market. Alan, I know a lot of traders out there and investors have been waiting for a pullback of the market. We did get some red in the market yesterday. What do you think?
A little one. Now, last week when the market bounced, it made new highs. It did have some profit taking, but came back once again, positive on a weekly basis. This momentum is amazing. You still have to respect that trend.
You really do. Let's take a look at a stock that you are trading. It's General Motors. What do you see happening here?
Midwest momentum. This stock's
like
up 20% in the last year, 10% in 2017. So it's really been trading between 34 and 38, and it had a breakout above 38. A bit of a pause here. It had some news where they were selling their European operations, getting that albatross off their neck.
Right. GM wants to do more business and gain more profits from the United States. Europe just was not really working out for this company.
Right, but I still think there's more upside in this stock.
You do.
It's been on the move, and it's got a PE ratio of 6. So think about that. This push above 38 targets 42. I'm looking at a January option. Imagine that. January 2019.
You like a long play. This is a really long-term
play. Yeah, the 42 target. I'm looking at a 30 call. It's got 684 days. Plenty of time. The break-even's about $1.25 higher. So even if there is a major pullback in the market, I don't think this stock is going to be very exposed. And I think over the next 2 years, this position will do very, very well.
Why put on an option strategy that's so far out?
Because you can, because the volatility is so low. If I want to buy January of 2018, it's only about $75 cheaper. So why not buy that time? Even if I don't use it, I have it just in case.
So what do you need to have happen here?
Well, I need the stock to continue to move higher, continue on this momentum. It's got a dividend of about 4%. Now, options players don't get that dividend. But if there is something that knocks this market off course, people will gravitate back into dividend stocks. So I think it's got that built-in protection.
I like that. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Topping our news, fallout from President Trump's travel ban. Delta was among the airline and tourism stocks that tripped up on Monday. Delta is cutting its first quarter outlook. The sell-off was also a reaction to the president signing an executive order restricting travel from 6 mostly Muslim nations: Iran, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, and Yemen. It begins March 16th. Economists are responding to the president's restrictions on immigration. According to a survey by the National Association for Business Economics, close to 60% favor expanding the number of H-1B visas to highly skilled employees who want to work in America. Business leaders are concerned there are not enough people in the U.S. to fill certain jobs. 7 in 10 believe the president should not set up import barriers, with the exception of cases of unfair trade. 27% say there should never be barriers on imports to the U.S. U.S. factories are roaring back to life. New orders for U.S.-made products increased for the second straight month in January as manufacturing gains momentum. General Motors is cutting back hours for its third shift at its assembly plant in Lansing. 1,100 salaried and hourly workers will be affected May 12th. GM plans to stop building the older generation GMC Acadia Limited at that plant. The new generation vehicle will be built in Tennessee. Home Depot is building up its staff. The home improvement store is hiring more than 80,000 full-time, part-time, and seasonal workers to cover the busy spring season. Now over to CME Group for today's Trader Tip.
Hi, this is Bob Iacchino from Path Trading Partners, coming to you from the CME Group trading floor in Chicago. S&P futures yesterday really hovered around the flat line, and a lot of that was based on buyers just being absent. Now, the interesting thing about this is geopolitical problems may be starting to heat up. We saw North Korea test 4 ballistic missiles. We don't know if they were intercontinental ballistic missiles or just ballistic missiles, which are the ones that carry warheads, essentially nuclear warheads, fired them into the Sea of Japan, which is always seen as a provocation, and really the geopolitical scene has been very, very quiet. But on the price action side, the lack of buyers did the best it could and achieved a fill of the gap where the market jumped up after President Trump's address to Congress. So if you were looking for a place to buy, that place has been pointed out to you now by the markets. Again, geopolitics has been very quiet. The VIX is starting to pump up a little bit, but gold isn't really reacting the way you would think it would if you thought there were geopolitical risks to an equity market position. So right now, new highs are probably in store for the S&P, although you probably won't see them until the non-farm payrolls number comes out. Once that non-farm payrolls number comes out, they can either confirm or block the Fed's path to higher rates, and the market will adjust accordingly. If we get an increase in the wage component of the non-farm payrolls number, you could see the Fed get more aggressive. This is Bob Iacchino coming to you from the CME Group trading floor in Chicago.
Thank you. Tyson is ruffling serious feathers in the food industry. The stock took a hit yesterday on word that more than 73,000 chickens have been destroyed at a Tennessee chicken farm due to a bird flu outbreak. Farms nearby are now quarantined. Tyson executives tell the Wall Street Journal the company is responding aggressively and business will not be disrupted. Here's a look at more news.
A senior House Republican aide is telling NBC News the bill to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act should be introduced this week. According to CNBC, that aide says, "We're in a very good place right now." A draft of the bill, which would repeal much of Obamacare over the next several years, would put in place the Republicans' vision of health care. A report in the Des Moines Register doesn't have much good to say about pipeline operator Magellan Midstream Partners. The newspaper's analysis found that Magellan's pipelines have had 28 leaks of hazardous materials across Iowa in the past 16 years. The most recent, a 46,000-gallon leak of diesel fuel on northern Iowa farmland in January. This has prompted opponents of the Dakota Access Pipeline to say this shows the risks tied to that line, which is the largest ever to cross the state. But industry experts say the failures of older pipelines cannot be used as predictors for the performance of new pipelines. 25 pipeline operators reported 79 breaches from 2000 to 2016. Among the items that spilled on land or in water, anhydrous ammonia, propane, natural gas, and diesel fuel.
In Millennials and Money, shares of Snap cooled off on Monday. That stock was hot in its stock market debut. Snapchat is a disappearing messaging app. You send a message to someone, and after it's read, the message disappears. According to Wall Street Journal, 20-somethings were snapping up the stock. The report cites Robinhood, an online brokerage app popular with millennials. Trading volumes on that app surged 50% March 2nd on Snap's IPO day. Well, the man who created the $1 Million Cup of Coffee is pouring out words of wisdom about chasing the Trump rally.
Hi, I'm Mark Horner. $1 Million Cup of Coffee was created to help everyone take control of their financial destiny. So what a ride we've had in the market since the election. After a big surprise with a Trump victory, that's caught a lot of investors on the sidelines. And the market since the election has given very few opportunities to get cash back invested. It's basically just been straight up until the last few days. So what are investors to do who are sitting on cash looking for a pullback that the market just has not given them? Well, that's a great way to use a strategy called dollar cost averaging. And it's simple. All that strategy does is provide a roadmap for clients to get invested in a systematic and disciplined way. And I think the biggest power in dollar cost averaging is that it reduces the impact of fear and greed. So instead of making investment decisions based on the hairs on your neck or gut feeling, you get invested in a systematic way regardless of whether the market is up or down. So for investors that have been sitting on cash since November, waiting for that pullback to come, I would suggest considering putting together an investment plan And the time frame really doesn't matter. So whether that's to get invested over the next 3 months, 6 months, over the next year, it's putting the time frame together now and then sticking with it. So to keep the math easy, let's say I'm sitting on cash and I want to be fully invested in the next 10 months. I would decide to invest 10% of my portfolio each month for the next 10 months so that I am fully invested. And I would stick with that strategy no matter if the market is up or down. And I guess if you want to add a little wrinkle to that, you might accelerate that investment time frame if we do in fact get a market pullback. Instead of getting invested over the next 10 months, you might end up getting invested over the next 9 months if the market does give you a pullback and an opportunity to put money to work. I'm Mark Horner. We're at milliondollarcupofcoffee.com and on Twitter at MDCupofCoffee.
Coming up, the surprising number of senior citizens who are conned out of money and never say a word. Plus, why more women are putting off having babies, and the cancer stock that's bringing hope to investors. Business First AM continues after this. Welcome back. Stunning statistics are coming out about senior citizens being ripped off. A study by MetLife reveals an estimated 3.2 million Americans were conned out of money in 2014. The average victim lost $30,000 in scams. 1 in every 10 victims loses more than $100,000. Most scams never get reported because the victims are embarrassed. Now on to a report about a stock that's trending on cancer hopes.
Shares of Advaxis gained ground yesterday after the company reported the FDA would allow its ADXS-Neo, a cancer immunotherapy drug partnership with Amgen, to go to clinical trial. According to MarketWatch, ADXS-Neo targets neoantigens, which are seen as a promising line of cancer drug treatment. Advaxis says its ADXS-Neo is only the second drug of its kind to get an investigational new drug application accepted by FDA. The company says phase 1 trials of the drug will be started in people with multiple tumor types later this year. Apparel sales for men, women, and children up about 3% last year to $218.7 billion in sales. That number is from an NPD Group report, also finding that the apparel market hasn't been able to grow more than 3% since 2013, with gains in one segment being offset by declines in others. Leisure athletic wear is a top seller, up 11% to almost $46 billion last year.
In Working It Today, we are joined by LaDawn Nickervin. She is with Career Builder, here to talk about women, babies, and the workplace. Thank you so much for coming on our show.
Of course, thanks for having me.
So you're taking a look at a study, and what are you finding about women? Are they holding off on getting married and having children?
They are. 83% of women who are 25 or older who plan to have kids say that they are postponing having kids for several reasons: to save money and to get ahead in their careers before they start to have children.
So they are really concerned about what happens once they enter the workplace, it sounds like.
They are. It's interesting. Men are too. That stat I gave, comparatively, it's 79% of men. So they are concerned as well. It seems like everyone is holding off and waiting till their 30s or even till 35 or older to start having a family.
This is just a phenomenon that's happening in our society. Should they be concerned? Are there facts to back this?
There are, just medically people are having kids later in life, so it's natural to want that, but people don't also want to make the sacrifice. And I think that's something employers should be aware of, that a lot of people do want both, and so they're postponing, they're waiting because they feel like they can't have both. So there are things employers can do to make it comfortable for people to feel like they can have a family, but also keep their careers on the tracks that they are.
Are the employers willing to make changes?
We are seeing more and more employers are. Flexibility is just such a big thing in the workplace right now. It's a huge priority, and so we are seeing little things like being able to work from home, leave a little earlier, provide daycare. Little things like that are becoming more and more popular.
What are you seeing as far as salaries?
That's a great question. When it comes to salaries, we see that men expect to reach $100,000 in their career twice as likely as women. So women think that it's not really probable for them. And when we ask women, they say their average salary they assume that they'll reach is $79,000, whereas men say over $130,000. So salary is just what people think they'll be receiving. There's a big difference in that. And a lot of women say that there is a pay gap in their industry.
And as you think, so it tends to go.
Of course.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Coming up next, International Women's Day is happening this week, and we are taking a closer look at closing the gender gap. And in Stocking Up, our final trade of the day has a trader getting bullish on a possible rise in a building stock. We will be right back. 2017 is expected to be a record-breaking year for the number of female CEOs, with 27 women leading Fortune 500 companies. March 8th is International Women's Day. Joining us now is Constance St. Germain, Executive Dean of the University of Phoenix, here to share critical information about this topic. Thank you. Hello to you. And what did you find in your gender gap study?
Well, we know that women have made really great strides in the workforce over the past few decades, and so we wanted to take a look and see what kind of traction they had been getting. And while the majority of the survey respondents, about 75%, agreed that women conditions for women had improved in the workplace over the past decade, there were still two specific areas related to pay equality and women in senior leadership roles that needed work.
Were there any surprises in the study?
Sure. So some of the biggest gaps really related to pay equality and women in leadership roles. And the survey found that 79% of the respondents had worked for a female boss at some point in their career, but only 34% worked for an organization that had a female president, owner, or CEO. And in fact, if you look at the Fortune 500 companies in 2016, only 4.2% had women CEOs. And this is really alarming because we know that women are better educated now than they have been any time in history. And by the age of 29, women are more likely to have a bachelor's degree than their male counterparts. Yet the Bureau of Labor and Statistics shows us that women are only earning 83 cents on every dollar compared to their male counterparts.
What are some strategies that could help women level the playing field with men?
You know, there are a lot of things that women can do. They can lead by example. They can have a pay-it-forward mentality, which means that every time that they work their way up, they reach behind them and bring other women up with them. They can act as mentors and sponsors of other women, but that they should also actively seek out mentors and sponsorship for their own, both internally and externally to the organization. I think the other thing that women can do to level the playing field is to make sure that they're always maintaining their currency in whatever field that they're choosing. You know, they need to look for flexible options to maintain that currency. And at the University of Phoenix, you know, we understand the working adult. 67% of our students are women, and 67% of our students have dependents. So we certainly understand that.
Is University of Phoenix playing a role in helping to close the gender gap?
You know, we have a lot of leadership programs at the institution, so it's really about what specific area people want to concentrate on when they're looking to gain that leadership experience. So the best thing they can do is actually go to phoenix.edu and explore the options available to them.
Thank you again for coming on our show.
Thank you as well.
Still to come, a trader who expects a buildup in Home Depot stock is next in our final trade of the day in Stocking Up. Joining me now for Stocking Up is Joel Hawthorne here with our final trade of the day. Thank you for coming on the show, Joel.
Thanks for having me, Angie.
So today you're taking a look at Home Depot, a hot stock, those DIYers out there fixing up their homes.
Absolutely.
So what do you think?
I love the stock. I love it a lot.
Okay.
Exactly for all the reasons that you just said, the DIYers. Everyone wants to kind of do their repairs to their homes, to their businesses, and I think Home Depot is going to be directly reflected with that.
You do? Okay, so let's take a look at maybe some trades here. An options trade would be what? Would you go with calls and a bullish strategy?
Absolutely, absolutely. I really think you have to look at this stock for just that reason, for the call strategy. Buying the 145s, this stock is currently trading at 146 and change or so. So you have to look at that price. And I think I'm also looking at the 155s. I think that way, but I'm giving myself a little bit of time though.
Okay.
Because quite frankly, I want to wait till slightly after some of the summer months to kind of look for expiration, so I can kind of get even more possibility to the upside with this stock.
So where are you buying your calls?
Right around August 18th.
Now for somebody who doesn't want to do an option strategy, what would you do as a trader?
I would look at this stock long term as a whole. This year, I say if we look at this out until like the end of the year here, I would say we will be well above 165.
Nice.
And we're trading, like I said, we're trading right around 146 and change right now. So you're looking at possibly almost a $20 move on a stock like this.
We'll see if that happens.
Absolutely.
Hope it does.
I hope so too.
Might not, but I hope it does.
I hope so. Fingers crossed.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for
Have a
having me,
great day.
Angie.
That's it for today, but we are on social media. It's Business First AM on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Coming up in our next show, another marriage money gem with top divorce attorney Gemma Allen. We hope you'll be back. Thank you for watching today. From all of us here at Business First AM, have a terrific day.